Another year, another NFL playoff bracket to do. Welcome into the 2024-2025 NFL playoff prediction. I will be predicting every game here because, it's not really right to just do one set and then just wait for next week. But we have the AFC with the number one seeded Chiefs and the NFC with the number one seeded Lions. The playoffs run through these two teams, and will they make the Super Bowl? I guess we'll see. In the AFC, we have the Texans and the Chargers, the Ravens and the Steelers, and the Broncos and the Bills. For the NFC, we have the Rams Vikings, the Bucks Commanders, and the Eagles Packers. Some of these I expect to be pretty easy decisions. Others I project to be pretty good games. And first, let's get right into it. Start off with the AFC. We have the number 4 seeded Texans and the number 5 seeded Chargers. Now, the Texans definitely have had, some sort of backtrack since last year. They are nowhere near as good as last year. CJ Stroud, sort of sophomore slump. Injuries to the wide receiver room. Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell. Both of these guys are out for the year and have been out for the year for a little bit now in case of Stephon Diggs. And, CJ Stroud not playing the best. Their offensive game plan has also not been the best either. Although I am a Colts fan and I am sad to not see him in the playoffs once again this year. I've seen a lot of Texans fans talk about how they don't like their offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick. I don't know too much about that, because I don't really talk, or at least watch a lot of Texans games, except for the ones where they beat the Colts, because we suck. But, I've been hearing that their offensive coordinating hasn't been as good. I haven't been much of a fan of their defense. And then we move to the Chargers. Los Angeles Chargers with their new first-year hire in national championship winning Jim Harbaugh. He's obviously turned this team around. They did not make the playoffs last year. They missed it. They're like 7-10 if I'm not mistaken, with Justin Herbert being injured going out. This year, it's been a turnaround. A way better team. Justin Herbert, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We know that. Wide receiver room a little better with their rookie Ladd McConkey. Quentin Johnson had a really good game against the Raiders yesterday. He had like 180 yards and like 12 catches. So good on him. Maybe he's turning around. But one of the key parts about this team is the Jim Harbaugh defense. The defense has looked like one of the best in the league. He's turned around the team really well, and I respect him for that. Although I don't really like Michigan that much, considering that they blatantly cheated. To argue with a wall there. But in this matchup, it's going to be close. I think the Texans will find a rhythm, but I'm personally taking technically a seeded upset, but probably not a betting upset. And the LA Chargers do move on to play the number 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs. Next, we have the Ravens and the Steelers. And from what we've saw for the past few weeks, I think this one's a pretty obvious choice. I'm leaning the Ravens here. Ravens, obviously, with MVP candidate and MVP hopeful, let's be honest. With his stats, he should win the MVP. Josh Allen is likely going to win it. Let's be honest, Saquon clears both, but we're not ready for that conversation yet. Again, Ravens, MVP candidate in Lamar Jackson. He's having his best season. Better than last season where he did win his MVP season. He, of course, did not make the Super Bowl that year. And I think this Ravens team is going to be really inspired to try to get to the Super Bowl. Try to prove all the doubters, Lamar Jackson can't win in big game people wrong. Because obviously they have been proven right so far. A lot of Pro Bowlers on their team. There's a lot of good players. Unfortunately, Zay Flowers got injured, I believe week 18. Or was it week 17? I think it was week 18. We don't know how bad the injury is. It was a knee problem. If they came out with something by the time we're watching this, I don't know it yet. I hope he's good. It'll be a huge blow for the Ravens if they don't have him. He's obviously the best receiver. Otherwise, they have people like Rashad Bateman. And the tight end group's not bad. They have Likely and Andrews. I have a grudge for Andrews because he put up no points in my week 1 matchup in fantasy a long time ago, but okay. So, a lot of Pro Bowlers on the Ravens team. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, probably the best quarterback in the league. Maybe the second best to Josh Allen, depends on your preference. And the Steelers opened up the year really well. They were like 10-3. I don't know how the Colts beat them because we suck. But, I mean, I was in attendance for that Colts-Steelers game, so maybe that's the reason. So I'm sorry, Colts fans. Maybe I had to come to all 9 home games for them to win. I mean, I'm just joking. But obviously, their season collapsed. They went 0-4 in their last 4 games with tough games against the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bengals, and I forgot the 4th one. Forgive me for that. But they lost that game too. They've been 0-4. And obviously, that's concerning. Russell Wilson has definitely not looked as good. There have been calls to start Justin Fields, which, honestly, I think that Russell Wilson's the better quarterback. But, we don't really have that much of a case study, considering Justin Fields and Russell Wilson have both played really well. But, the Steelers have just not looked good. Just last week against the Bengals, their star receiver, George Pickens, was locked up to 1 catch, 0 yards, and 9 targets. So obviously, going into the playoffs, that's not a good thing, especially going against this Ravens team that is hungry to go to the Super Bowl. I am 100% taking Ravens. I don't see the Steelers having a chance in here at all. Finally, for the AFC wildcard round, we have the Bills and the Broncos. And I think this will be a closer game than many people think. Obviously, Josh Allen, I mentioned him already, one of the MVP hopefuls, and honestly, right now, the MVP favorite, because people don't know ball. The Bills obviously don't have as much of a Pro Bowl crew. James Cook got snubbed. Obviously, not the best receiver core in the whole world. It's not bad per se. Not the best receiver core. Not too sure about the defense. Not sure about the defense at all. A little. Obviously, I'm not doubting the Bills team at all. When they have Josh Allen, expecting to win. I'm rooting against the Bills. I don't really like the Bills. I don't like Josh Allen. I don't know why. It's just like a thing. I just don't like him, really. No offense given to him. I just don't really like him. But, Bills, not much competition in their division. Beat the Chiefs. You got to respect that. They did beat the Chiefs. And they have looked good against good teams. But can they make a deep run in the playoffs? Well, they first have to play a tough Broncos team. And when I mean tough, I mean not that good. I mean, the Broncos barely snuck into the playoffs. They almost choked their spot to the point where if the Broncos had played the Chiefs team in full strength, they're not in the playoffs right now. Bo Nix, rookie QB. There have been talks for him being ROTY, but let's be honest, that's Jaden Daniels. He locked it up at the Hail Mary. Obviously, Bo Nix had a really good game against the Chiefs backups. Those are the Chiefs backups. Bo Nix has had ups and downs. He started the season off really bad, like we all expected, and then he bounced up really, really well and propelled his team to a playoff spot. So, respect to Bo Nix. Broncos defense is a pretty good unit. Patrick Surtain, I think one of the DPOI hopefuls. I think he's been really good this season. I know he's been really good this season. And then, really good defense. So, his game might be closer than most people expect. But I am still taking the Bills. Obviously, I'm not dumb. So, Bills, my pick to go to the divisional round to face off the Ravens. Now, for the NFC, we have already mentioned that the Lions are the 1 seed. But our 4 and 5 seed game is the Rams versus Vikings. And I might make some of you guys mad, but I will continue I will 100% continue to hold firm that this Rams team is overrated. This Rams team is heavily overrated, and they are not as good as people say they are. Obviously, Matthew Stafford, still a good QB. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. This Rams team is not that good. I will stand on. If they had any competition in the division other than the poverty Seahawks, the injury-riddled 49ers, and the Cardinals team that's still rebuilding, they would be in Cancun right now. They are not that good of a team, and they still could win this game, obviously. I'm not saying they're a bad team per se. I think they should have what it takes to play in the playoffs. But they are not a good team, they are not a world beater, and they will not make the Super Bowl. Do they make it to the divisional round? We'll see. Vikings, obviously, one of the best teams in the NFC, but with a concerning loss to the Lions where Sam Darnold threw 18 for 40 something? A really concerning game against the Lions. And obviously the Vikings are supposed to be one of the best teams on defense. One of the best defenses in the league. And the defense played really well. They got to Jared Goff. They got a lot of sacks. I think they forced some fumbles. They might have. Maybe not. I'm not sure. They got 2 interceptions, if I'm not wrong. So obviously the Vikings defense did not play terribly, but they did not play good either because they let up 31 points to the Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely torched them. Thank you, Jahmyr Gibbs, for everything you did for my fantasy team, by the way. You carried my poverty team to a 3rd place finish, so thanks for him. But Vikings, a little concerning on offense. Obviously, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, one of the best wide receiver duos in the league, along with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Although Jordan Addison did get locked up against the Lions, so we'll see where that goes there. TJ Hawkinson, great tight end. Aaron Jones, great running back. Again, I will continue to hold firm that this Rams team is overrated, and I'm taking the Vikings to technically upset the Rams. But I'm taking the Vikings to move on in a battle for the 1st seed rematch. Next, we have the Buccaneers and Commanders, and this is an interesting game. This is a very interesting game. Don't put it past you that the Commanders could win this game. First, the Buccaneers, obviously, Baker Mayfield, ever since he's went to the Buccaneers, he's had a career renaissance. He's looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I respect him for it. Obviously, they have Mike Evans. Just barely broke 1,000 yards with 1,002 yesterday against the Saints. Glad for him. He ties Jerry Rice's all-time 1,000 yards in a row. Not 1,000 yards total, but 1,000 yards in a row with 11 total seasons. So, congratulations to Mike Evans. The defense is not the best in the world. It's not the best thing in the world. And let's be honest, if the Falcons were competent, they wouldn't be here right now. The problem is the Falcons are competent. The Falcons are an embarrassment. Again, if I was a Falcons fan, I would be mad. Because every year you come in as favorites to win your division, every year you look like the best team in the division, and every year you just middle out. And they didn't middle out this year. They went, was it 9-8? Was it 8-9? Not the worst in the world, but obviously not the best in the world. You either need to play bad or you need to play good. And the Falcons are just playing mediocre, and it results in division losses every single time. Yeah, they're kind of like the Colts. You play mediocre, and you lose the easy division that you should win. But the Buccaneers, obviously, are not a bad team. They deserve to make the playoffs. And, they're obviously clear favorites of the Commanders, but I want to put it past the Commanders to win this game. Jaden Daniels, clear-cut favorite for Rookie of the Year. Let's be honest, Brock Bowers should be up there too, with how Brock Bowers' season is going. But it's going to go to a QB. I mean, there's no kidding that. So, Jaden Daniels, amazing, stellar Rookie Year. He brought a team that should be 3-14, 4-13 to is it 11-6 in the playoff berth? So congratulations to him. I have major respect for him. They obviously got Terry McLaurin on their team, great wide receiver. Defense is not that good. The defense isn't the best in the world. If you had to ask me to name one defensive player on the Commanders, I would not get it. Mostly because I'm not a Commanders fan. I mean, I don't really know who's on that Commanders defense. It's just kind of they're just kind of there. So a little concerned about the Commanders defense. Buccaneers don't have the best defense either. But I'm taking the Buccaneers to move on to the divisional round. Will we see the Eagles or will we see the Packers? Who knows? But I think Baker Mayfield had a really good game and move on to the divisional round. Next, we have the Eagles versus the Packers. Obviously, one glaring concern for the Packers. Jordan Love, hand injury. Is that going to play a factor? Is that hand injury serious, or was it just we'll use that to just rest him and play Malik Willis. Play Malik Willis and move on with our day. I don't know. It's definitely a concern. Other injury problems, Jair Alexander, he really hasn't played the whole dang year. Christian Watson, their standout receiver, he's out for the year for, I believe, ACL. So obviously the Packers have a lot of injuries. But the Packers defense is still a pretty good unit. And the Packers offense is still a pretty good unit. And they could cause the Eagles some trouble. Obviously, the Eagles are one of the best teams in the NFC. That's obvious. Jalen Hurts has been out for about 2 weeks with a concussion. But let's be honest, Tanner McKee, he's not that bad. I like Tanner McKee. He's been playing pretty good. Jalen Hurts is obviously going to come back. But, Tanner McKee, good on him for keeping the division hopes afloat. It was Kenny Pickett before, but then he got injured too. So, obviously Jalen Hurts is going to come back. They have players like A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Saquon Barkley, obvious offensive player of the year. They should have played him. They 100% should have played him to break the record. I know, injury risk, selfish risk. I don't really care about that. Record's a record. So, unfortunate for Saquon Barkley, but still 2,000 yards in the year. Stellar year for Saquon Barkley after being traded from the Poverty Giants. And, a really good defense, too. Great rookie CB room, Cooper DeJean. I also have CJ, Chauncey Gardner. I think I messed up that name. I don't really care. Obviously, Eagles are one of the best teams in the league. But if Jordan Love plays, I'm taking the Packers. I'm taking the Packers with a magnificent upset. And they will move on to play the number 1 Detroit Lions. Now, let's be honest. Am I riding too hard in that pick? No. Do I think that pick has a 75% chance of failing? Yes. But I'll be honest, I wanted an upset. It seemed like the most feasible upset out of the group here. So I wanted to take it, and I took it. So we got the Packers moving on to play the Lions. So that's going to be an interesting game. If the Buccaneers move on to play the Lions, well, the AFC is pretty even. Chiefs, Chargers, Bills, Ravens. And we've seen the Chiefs. They have Patrick Mahomes. They have Travis Kelce. Rasheed Rice is back. They have one of the best defenses in the league. We know that. Yeah, they have Satan Magic. They're winning this game. There's no question. I don't think Justin Herbert and this young Jim Harbaugh team has what it takes to beat the Chiefs. I think it's going to be either the Bills and the Ravens. But again, the Chiefs 15-2 should be 16-1 if they played their starters. Only lost to the Bills, so obviously they'd want to play the Ravens again. A little fraudulent. I think they only went over 30 points once, if at all. They might have went over 30 points. That's obviously really concerning. But obviously they don't need to if their defense is blocking them up. So, yeah, Chiefs, Devil Magic, we already know that's going to happen. They're going to move on. There's no point in picking against them. We do this every single year. And every single year they make the Super Bowl and win it. So, of course, we've got the big heavyweight bout against two MVP candidates. We got Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, in a battle to go to the conference championship to face the big bad Chiefs. And this game is going to be really close. It's probably going to be the best game of the entire playoffs, excluding the Super Bowl, obviously. Who do I have taking it? Ravens had a concerning defense at first. At first, definitely. But the defense has tuned it up. They've played better. And can they lock up this Josh Allen team? We saw this earlier in the year. Ravens played really well against the Bills. One of the Bills' only losses. Can they do it again? I think so. I'm taking the Ravens to upset the Bills and move on to a repeat conference championship matchup in the Chiefs and the Ravens. And a repeat in the first game of the season. So, it's definitely going to be interesting to watch that. But could the Bills win this? Yes. If the Bills win this, I'm going to be really mad. I'm going to be really mad. Because Chiefs or Bills, I'm going to have to root for one of them. I don't want to do that. I would like both teams to lose, and the fact that one of them go to the Super Bowl will make me mad. So I really hope that the Bills don't make it out. But moving on to the NFC, we have the Lions and the Packers. The Lions, I was concerned. With all their defensive injuries, I was really concerned. Obviously their injury to Montgomery. I almost had them, not making the Super Bowl, even if they got the first seed. But what I saw... Well, I was rudely interrupted. Somehow on Do Not Disturb, so let me catch up. Sorry for that. I don't even know how the phone call got to me. I'm on Do Not Disturb for a reason. Yeah, little messed up jump cut. I was talking about the Lions. Right? Yeah, basically, what I saw out of that Lions-Vikings game, I saw the best team in the league. No doubt. They locked up the Vikings offense, which has been pretty good, and they absolutely torched that Vikings defense. I don't see the Lions losing. I don't see the Lions losing in the division round, especially with the week of rest. Especially with the week of rest. I don't see them losing. I don't. Especially if they get some of their key defensive players back. I don't see them losing. I don't see them losing in the division round. And I'm going to be honest. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I'm not going to try to jump ship. I was almost going to jump ship and just put the Chiefs in the Super Bowl already. Because let's be honest. I can't pick against them. I was almost about to jump shift at the beginning of the video and do that already, but I decided not to. I wanted to keep the suspense up. I think you know now. Buccaneers-Rams, definitely an interesting game. Wait, I got that wrong. I did not have that right. Buccaneers-Vikings. Buccaneers-Vikings, definitely an interesting game. Do we see the Vikings again? Do we see the Vikings moving on? And, I kind of made a mistake earlier of the Vikings playing the Lions again. Oh, shoot. I messed up my bracket, probably. Okay, never mind. We're good. I made the mistake of saying the Vikings would play the Lions. I was obviously wrong there. I forgot to play the lowest remaining seed. That's on me. But the Buccaneers and the Vikings is definitely an interesting game. Honestly, it is a really good game, actually. The Vikings, obviously one of the best defenses, like I mentioned. Offense a little concerning. I had them beating the Rams. But do I see this Buccaneers team making the conference championship? I'm sorry, I don't. I'm going to have to take the Vikings. I hope Sam Darnold, bounces back from whatever happened. Let's be honest. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned for the Vikings. But I have to keep my narratives alive. The Rams are overrated. And I'm going to be honest, if the Rams play the Buccaneers, that's an interesting game too. Do the Rams win that? Do the Bucs win that? I don't see either team making the conference championship. I'm sorry. And this kind of all messes up because I have the Packers beating the Eagles, which, messes up the entire bracket. But I'm sorry, I have to take the Vikings. I don't see this Buccaneers team making the conference championship. I think the Vikings are the better team than them. And I think they move on, even if despite, Sammy D playing bad, I think they'll still move on and make it. And that makes an interesting conference championship. Now, what could be even interesting is if somehow the Chargers upset the Chiefs and the Bills upset the Ravens, or not upset. We have 4 teams in the conference championship that have never won the Super Bowl in their franchise history. If this scenario, I believe, well, Texans too. The Texans could also do that. But if this scenario holds firm, and you can replace the Chargers with the Texans, we will have a conference championship between 4 teams that have never won their Super Bowl in their franchise history. And honestly, I would be so looking forward to watch that. I usually root for the team that hasn't won the Super Bowl before, because, you always want new teams to win the Super Bowl. And I'm going to be honest, this would probably be my favorite outcome. It wouldn't be the best outcome for the NFL, but it would be my favorite outcome, because it would be 4 teams who would be fighting for their first Super Bowl in franchise history. And for some teams, including the Lions, the Vikings make a Super Bowl. Yeah, they made 4. I don't know what I'm kidding. Chargers made a Super Bowl. Bills obviously made 4. And even for the Lions, they're fighting for the opportunity to go to their first Super Bowl ever in franchise history. Not to just win it, go for it for the first time ever. And let's change it up a bit. Let's say the Texans are here. Let's say the Texans somehow make it to the conference championship. They're not only fighting for their first conference championship berth in franchise history, not only fighting for the first Super Bowl berth in franchise history, but probably the most interesting Super Bowl of them all, although I'm not a Texans fan. If this somehow happens, we will have a matchup between 2 teams that have not only never won the Super Bowl in their franchise history, but have never been to the Super Bowl in their franchise history. And even for the case of the Texans, have never been to a conference championship in their franchise history. So, honestly, that'd be my favorite outcome. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But that'd be really cool to watch. But anyway, let me fix the bracket. Well, shoot. Let me fix the bracket. That was just kind of what I was trying to say. That would be really cool. We already have that NFC center that, NFC team is going to, vie for their first Super Bowl win in franchise history. And for the Lions, vie for their first Super Bowl appearance in franchise history. Of course, for the AFC, we have 2 Super Bowl reoccurrence. We have the 4-time Super Bowl loss Bills in a row, unfortunately for their fans. And we have the dynasty in the making Kansas City Chiefs. And obviously, the Chiefs' only loss in the regular season is to Josh Allen and the Bills. Not counting the Broncos game, because we don't count that. We don't count the Broncos game. Other than that, that's the only loss the Chiefs have held. But let's be honest, bro. Is Josh Allen really up for the challenge of playing Patrick Mahomes in the playoff with all the devil magic? You could say he is. You could say he's not. I can't pick against the Chiefs. I have the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. I know it's boring. I tried to pick against the Chiefs last year. I said the Dolphins would beat them in the first round. And look where that brought me. Look where that brought me. It brought me to a Chiefs Super Bowl victory. So maybe if I pick the Chiefs to play in the Super Bowl, maybe they won't make it this time. Hopefully, that would be W jinx. That would be a good jinx. And you guys would all thank me, so that's nice. But other than that, we have an interesting NFC matchup. And let's be honest. I'm writing this whole bracket on a Packers upset. I'm writing this whole bracket on the Packers upset. Because if the Packers do not upset, it's going to be Lions-Eagles. Let's be honest. It's going to be Lions-Eagles, in my opinion. I'm riding on this Packers upset. I'm riding on for this scenario to happen, but I think it will. We got 2 teams that have never won a Super Bowl in their franchise. We saw this game. The Lions sweep the Pack. The Lions did sweep the Packers, but the Lions also swept the Vikings. It's always hard to beat a team 3 times, but this Lions team is determined. This Lions team is determined. They'll have the rest from the wild card bye. Obviously, they'll play a Packers team, which is tough. but I think they'll beat pretty handily. They have some more defensive players back. They'll have a more healthy offense than what they had in the Vikings game yesterday night. And yesterday night, they routed the Vikings. Now, the Vikings could play up the standard. They could, play up the standard. And I've seen some people take the Rams, And I totally understandable if you took the Buccaneers over the Vikings. But this Lions team is too determined. I don't want to do that. Kind of boring. 1 seed versus 1 seed again. I think this is for like the third year that's been 1 seed, 1 seed. Again, I think that's kind of boring. But we had the Chiefs and the Lions. Really, really interesting Super Bowl. Obviously, Chiefs, Devil Magic, third Super Bowl appearance in 30 years. Who can really stop them? Can it be the Lions team? Jared Goff is 2-0 all time against Patrick Mahomes. I was about to say the Chiefs. I guess it is the Chiefs too, but against Patrick Mahomes. I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting game if this happens. And in my Super Bowl, I'm picking the Detroit Lions. A little concerning. I know, I understand. Why would you pick the Detroit Lions? Why wouldn't you pick the Chiefs? You can't bet against the Chiefs. What I saw out of this Lions team, if this Lions team plays like they did against the Vikings, no one's beating them. No one can beat them in the playoffs. And for the first time in franchise history, not only will the Lions make the Super Bowl for the first time, they will win their first Super Bowl in franchise history. After years and years of suffering and torment, going 0-16 for the first time, the first team to go 0-16 in NFL history, the Lions will have a major turnaround since their 2022-21 season. Major turnaround since Matthew Stafford's trading for Jared Goff. And they will not only make the Super Bowl for the first time in franchise history, but they will win the Super Bowl for the first time in their franchise history. That is my pick. Now for the tiebreaker, how many total points will be scored in the 2024-2025 playoffs? About 40 points are scored each game. That's a base average. Some could go over, some could go under. What's 40 times 13? That's 560 points. So I'm gonna go pretty even. I'm gonna say 560 points is a fair estimate. And of course, that will be my bracket. Thank you guys for watching. I don't know what any of this means. I'm guessing this is a plus 300 for the Lions to win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are probably favored. But that is my pick for the Super Bowl. Thank you guys for watching. I think I'll make a Colts video. It's going to depend on what we do with Gus Bradley. If Gus Bradley gets fired, talk about that. If Gus Bradley doesn't get fired, I'll talk about that. I definitely want a Colts video out before the maybe after the Super Bowl. I definitely want a Colts video out. One more Colts video. But other than that, that's it. I'll see you for every game in the playoffs, no matter what. Every video. Some might be later. Some might be later. That's because I have school starting up back up tomorrow, which is gonna be fun. School is starting back up tomorrow. Almost halfway through junior year. Yes, I am in junior year. I'm just saying. I've been hiding this for a while, but major changes will be coming after senior year. Hopefully. It's gonna depend. I'd really like to, switch up after senior year. I know that's a long time from now, and I know the viewer base from now might not be the same. It might not even be remotely the same. I mean, you guys might watch this video and never watch another one of my videos again. You guys might not even watch this. I've seen the little breakdown. You guys drop off after you press the video. So if you've watched the end, I thank you, long one. I kind of want to drop that now. I'm going back junior year, and yes, I know I'm young. I turn 18 this year. So, you want to congratulate me? Yay me. Enough yapping. I'm gonna end the video now. See you guys later.